Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, Jay-Z Courtside, coming at y'all today on Monday, August 10th. I would like to formally apologize to all of you. The summer's been a little bit wonky. I'm the first one to admit it. I don't want to take too much of your time with this intro, but this summer has been a bit wonky. It has been, and that's all my fault, and I'm sorry, and I own up to it. I wasn't prepared what the first off season would be like. And, you know, for a lot of you guys that watch and listen to podcasts, like Numbers on the Board, shout out Kenny and Pierre and D Mills and Mike, even though they don't need it. Shout out No Dunks. That's my go-to podcast. No Dunks, I've been watching and listening to them since before they were even on NBA TV. And when they were called the Starters. I am a one-man wrecking crew. It's just me. It's a one-man show, right? So if I'm not here, there is no show. And it's been a week, and that's my apologies. With them, you know, they got 4 guys on one of them and 3 guys on another. So they're able to miss a show here and there and still have the show continue without them. It's a one-man wrecking crew here, y'all. And maybe down the line, who knows? Who knows? When we start having guests, right? Maybe we start having co-hosts. Who knows? But for now, if I got nothing really to share or talk about, your boy's just not going to be here. I'm excited for the NBA season, as I'm sure you guys are. And today we're actually going to be doing a different video, a different podcast, in which I talk about my biggest breakout stars for next season. I got like a list of 8 guys, I think. I got 8 guys, 7 guys that we're going to talk about today and why I believe they are going to have big seasons coming up. Now, I know you guys probably want me to talk about Kawhi Leonard and all his everything he's going through. There's 2 more hidden scams that he was involved in. Sorry, not scams, but circumvisions. Is that what they're? I don't want to say circumcisions. I think it's circumvisions. Obviously the Rhode Island team that he was, you know, being supported by, and then also the billboard, not the billboard, but the halo, the screen that they got in the Intuit Dome. I don't want to talk about Kawhi Leonard, all right? I don't know what's going to happen with him. So I don't want to talk about him today, maybe Wednesday. Another thing I was going to talk about last week was the whole Kevin Durant debacle about him going on and talking about how LeBron joining the Sixers is the same as the Golden State Warriors because of how many 20-point scorers they have. I'm sorry, KD. That is just... Stop trying to gas up your 2 rings that much, buddy. You joined a 73-win team, the same 73-win team that beat you after you choked a 3-1 lead on them. Not the same thing, Mr. Kevin Durant. And you know what? I'm not even going to sit here and insult KD. He breathes, lives, and dies by basketball, so I'm not going to get on him too much about that. But, like, we don't have your 2 rings up here like you do. I'm sorry. We don't. You were the best player on those teams, but you do not have. Your rings are not this high, all right? We can all agree to that. I'm not going to talk about any of that today. Today, we're going to be talking about my biggest breakout players going into next season, why I believe they're going to take a leap, why I believe they're going to, the main reasons why I believe they're going to take a leap, and the promise that they show me last year, going into this year, all right? But before we get into that, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. Remember, we are live Monday, Wednesday, Friday doing these shows. Obviously, with some days missed here and there during the summer. But during the NBA season, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. I think I only missed like 3 podcasts the entire last season. And I can't wait for this season to get started. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. We are 2 months away from preseason basketball. Less than 2 months away from preseason basketball. Without further ado, y'all, I want to start today's show. Before we get into the breakout players, I do want to mention, rest in peace to Hall of Famer Don Nelson. As we all may know, Don Nelson passed at age 86. He's from Muskegon, Michigan. Shout out Don Nelson and rest in peace to him. As we all know, I'm sure some of you guys know, he was the leader in most wins by a head coach ever until Greg Popovich recently passed him up a couple years ago. He's at 1,335 wins, coaching the Bucks, Warriors, Knicks, and Mavs. He played over 1,000 games in his NBA career. He won 5 championships with the Boston Celtics back in the 60s and 70s. So he's 5-time champion. And something that I completely forgot about is he never won as a head coach. Never. He won 3 coach of the years, but he never won a ring as a head coach ever. In fact, his best team was pretty much not the going to work. Sorry. What was that team? The We Believe Warriors, when they beat the number 1 seed in Mavericks. That was about his best accomplishment ever as a head coach. First round, 8-seeded team, beating a 1 seed. So rest in peace, Don Nelson. He's obviously an NBA legend. He's a Hall of Famer. And yeah, man, it's a sad day over the weekend. Mark Stein broke the news. Rest in peace. Prayers to him, his family, and everybody else around him. But yeah, it's so amazing to me that he was in the NBA for so long, and then he coached the NBA for so long, and he never won a title as a coach. Won 5 of them as a player, but never as a coach. And he coached so long as well, which is crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into my predictions for the biggest breakout players going into next season. Now, I'm going to start off with the obvious choice, okay? The very obvious choice. We're going down to Dallas, so we're going to be talking about Cooper Flagg. Now, Cooper Flagg last year is already a star. I think we're all aware of that. He's a star already. But I think Cooper has barely even scratched the surface, and I don't think that's crazy to say. I do not think that's crazy to say. He wasn't efficient last year. He wasn't the best of playmakers last year. He got better as the year progressed, but he already proved that he's a great rebounder for his size. He's a great scorer, and he's going to be a number 1 kind of guy in his NBA career. He averaged 21 points, almost 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, almost a steal and a half, a block, and he still got injured last season. He missed 12 games last year, which, I mean, Cooper Flagg last year was such a joy to watch. He was so much fun to watch, and like seeing him progress as the year went on, become like an off-ball player into a ball-dominant number 1 option point forward, which is another thing that Don Nelson created, the point forward as a head coach. Cooper Flagg, I believe, is going to have a tremendous sophomore season. Now, you see a lot of players in their second year sort of take a step back or sort of like stagnant. I don't believe that's going to happen with Coop. I think Cooper Flagg has potential to be a top 3, top 5 player in the NBA in a couple of years. And I think next year he very well could be a top 10 player in the entire NBA. And I know that's crazy to say as a second year player, as a 19-year-old turning 20, but I genuinely believe that if Cooper Flagg is healthy, if the Mavericks can make the play-in, I think he could be an all-NBA player. If he's not an all-NBA player, he'll definitely be putting up all-NBA numbers. And I think that's the difference in which I'm trying to say. Something that I've been talking about briefly this offseason is that it's somehow amazing to me that the Dallas Mavericks have, in my opinion, and you know, Lakers fans are going to deny because they're Laker fans, but in my opinion, after this trade, with a Luka trade, obviously, I believe the Dallas Mavericks have a better roster than the Los Angeles Lakers today. And you can argue with a wall. I don't think the Lakers have any offense outside. I mean, it's an all offensive team. They have no defensive players at all. We all know how much defense matters, especially in this parity era. I believe that the Dallas Mavericks have a better roster when you put it all together right now this year. Now, does that mean that I think the Mavericks are going to finish higher than the Lakers? Absolutely not. They have Luka Doncic. He's a floor raiser. He wins games. But the Dallas Mavericks have offense and defense, and they have Kyrie Irving returning. So if you have Cooper Flagg on ball and Kyrie Irving, who we already know can play on or off ball, you got Daniel Gafford, you got Derek Lively. Don't forget about Lively. You still have PJ Washington. You still have Najee Marshall. You still have all of these groups of players that can play either position. They can play whatever position they want. And I'm not crazy to say that I think they can make the play-in next year. I do believe the Lakers will finish higher. And that's not because I believe the Lakers have a better like future. I think the Mavericks have a much better future because they have Cooper Flagg. But the Lakers, they have Luka Doncic. And when you have Luka Doncic, you are automatically throttled into playoff spot contention, right? So, in my opinion, Cooper Flagg is going to be the biggest breakout star next year. I don't think that's crazy to say, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. I really do think Cooper's going to have a great second year. I'm so excited to watch him. I'm so excited to watch a healthy Mavs team, a healthy Cooper, a healthy Kyrie, a healthy Gafford. A healthy team. They were not healthy last year. You watched the Mavericks last year, they were not healthy at all. They were missing everybody every other night. I'm really excited to watch the Mavericks, and I'm really excited. I think Cooper Flagg is probably the number one player I'm most excited to watch next season. And I don't think that's crazy to say. I think a lot of people could agree with me. Let's move on to my next player, who I think is going to have a breakout year. My next player is up for extension. This summer, he's up for extension. Because next summer he'll be a restricted free agent if he doesn't get it. So I think he is going to get extended this summer. It just depends on the other player, whether or not he gets his contract situated. But my next player is Ausar Thompson. Now, I know you guys are screaming Homer in the background, but Ausar Thompson is my next breakout player of the year. I'm not saying that Ausar Thompson is going to come into next year with a three-point shot. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the pics of Ausar Thompson and Amen Thompson working out together, boxing, putting on even more muscle. Now, I don't think Ausar Thompson is ever going to have a competent three-point shot. I don't. I think he'll be a serviceable corner three-point shooter later in his career. But right now, I don't see Ausar Thompson coming into next year and automatically shooting 35% from three. I don't see that. But Ausar Thompson is the best perimeter defender in the entire NBA. Ausar Thompson is the best non-big defender in the entire NBA. Ausar Thompson, in my opinion, is the fastest, most athletic player in the NBA with his brother. They're freaks. Now, I sort of want to show you guys why I believe Ausar is going to have a leap. In case you guys are just joining the show now, this is the second player we're talking about. We have a few more players that I'm going to talk about for my biggest predictions for breakout years next season. And if you guys are watching and you are enjoying, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. It's among the players' consensus, the coaching staff consensus. Almost every fan base around the world can understand that Ausar Thompson is by far, significantly, the best perimeter defender in the NBA right now. Scotty Barnes, I love Scotty, but as far as offense and defense, Scotty is better than Ausar, but just defense, nobody rivals Ausar Thompson, not even his brother. Ausar Thompson showed me something very special last year, and this is what I wanted to talk about because a lot of people don't know this, okay? I'm going to show you something. Ausar Thompson first 10 games last season. So last year, Ausar Thompson averaged under 10 points a game. The first 10 games of last season showed me something that got me excited for the future. Ausar Thompson was averaging 14 points. My apologies for the audio if you guys just heard that. I'm supposed to have my notifications muted. My apologies. Hey, shout out to Kaz for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. Much love, baby. For the first 10 games of the last NBA season, Ausar Thompson averaged 14 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because JB Bickerstaff came into last season doing something different. He was playing through Ausar Thompson a lot. And Pistons fans, if you guys watched all year, you guys know what I'm talking about. Ausar had a 21-point game, a 19-point game, an 18-point game, multiple 15-point games, a 19-point game, an 11-point game. He was scoring. He was assisting. He was rebounding as he always does. And he had the ball in his hand. His usage was higher than Cade Cunningham's for the first 3 quarters of every game. And then, out of nowhere, Ausar Thompson rolled his ankle. He missed 2 weeks of basketball. Ausar Thompson comes back, and all of a sudden, JB Bickerstaff started using Ausar the way he did the previous season. Not for 10 games, not for 20 games, for the rest of the NBA season. For some reason, when Ausar got hurt and missed a couple weeks, When he returned, JB never played him the same way he played him in the first 10 games of last season. So, of course, his scoring dropped. Of course, his assists dropped. Of course, his usage dropped. And all of a sudden, people are talking about Sarr has no offensive bag. And while I agree, not knowing when you're going to get the ball, it's a tough spot to be in playing basketball. You guys can speak to that. I can speak to that. When I don't touch the ball for a few minutes on the basketball court, I sort of get psyched out. I lose my touch. I lose my confidence. I lose my feel. These guys are the same way. And I think JB Bickerstaff, I think Trajan Langdon, they have not went and got a secondary scorer because they believe so much in Ausar Thompson. If you guys watched, Ausar does so much more than just elite defense. He does. All he needs to do is improve his finishing. And you know how you improve your finishing, ladies and gentlemen? By getting stronger. And what has Ausar Thompson already done this summer? He's already bulked up. There's rumors out there that he has already put on 12 pounds this summer. So if Ausar wants to go full Giannis on the NBA, go full Giannis. Be a freight train. Why not? Develop a corner three-point shot. I know you're working on that. But in the meantime, just become unstoppable when the ball's in your hands and you're driving to the hoop. Why not? So I think Ausar Thompson is going to have a breakout year next year. I think they're waiting to extend him because they're waiting on what they're going to do with Jalen Duren. But I think Ausar Thompson is going to have a massive breakout next year. I just want to remind everybody, he is about a year behind Amen Thompson because of the blood clot. Put him out for almost an entire season. Half a season and the other first half of the season. I really believe in Ausar Thompson having a big breakout year next year. I'm very excited to watch him. Now, guys, my next player, we're going to head out west. I'd like to say thank you to Kaz again for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. Thank you so much. I agree with that comment full on. Ausar can be a 15, 8, and 5 guy. I do. On top of being the best defender, the best perimeter defender in the entire NBA. I just want to remind you guys of something very, very fun. Very, very fun. Ausar Thompson, when defending in the second round of the playoffs last year against the Cavaliers when the Pistons fell in 7. Remember, he was defending Donovan Mitchell for most of the series. Ausar Thompson, when defending, held his opponents in the entire 7-game series to 7% from the field. I want to repeat myself one more time, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't think you heard me. That is not an incorrect stat. In the second round of the playoffs, Ausar Thompson held all of his opponents to 7% from the field. 7% from the field. 7. And that's an all-NBA player in Donovan Mitchell. In the first round, you're probably wondering, what did he hold his opponents in that round? 16%. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not a number that you should just look at. That is their whole game plan. The Cavaliers' whole game plan. And Kenny Atkinson said it after they won. Was if Ausar Thompson is on the left side of the court, keep the ball on the right side. If Ausar Thompson's on the right side of the basketball court, keep the ball on the left side. He is such an elite defender that your game plan was don't put the ball anywhere near where he's at. I love Ausar Thompson. My next breakout player for next year is none other than Dylan Harper. I don't like putting second-year players on here, but I put Cooper Flagg, so I got to put Dylan Harper. What we saw from Dylan Harper in the playoffs, a lot of you guys watched that series with me. A lot of you guys watched the NBA Finals with me live in my Discord server, which a lot of you guys in the TikTok are missing out on. Watching this man play, not only in the finals, but in the entire playoffs, when he was off the court, the Spurs were losing. When he was on the court, the Spurs were winning. Do I believe that Dylan Harper is going to be starting next season? I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. And you know what? Dylan Harper is ready to be starting. If he's not starting, I think he's going to be getting close to 30 minutes a game, especially in the regular season. I expect Dylan Harper, who averaged just under 12 points, 3.5 rebounds, and just under 4 assists per game last year, I expect not only his field goal percentage to improve from 50%, but I expect his three-point percentage at 34% to improve as well because he showed some prolific confidence, even though it wasn't falling. He was playing so incredibly well. Ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Harper is going to be a special, special, special player. And I would go so far as to say that as an unbiased fan, I'm not even a Spurs fan, but I'm a Dylan Harper fan. I wish they just trade De'Aaron Fox and just start this process sooner of Dylan Harper starting. You might not do as good next season, especially in the regular season. You might not play as well, but down the road, I don't see how you can't improve on that. If you are going to be, if Dylan Harper and Victor Wembanyama are going to be your 1-2 punch for the future, why not just start now? Why wait? Now, I understand it's because De'Aaron Fox's contract is so horrendous, it's going to be very hard to get off of him. But you not only added Tobias Harris, another go-to guy that can score, to this team. The Spurs are better. The Spurs are a better basketball team. And you know what? Had they not even went and got Tobias Harris, had they not went and got other players, and the development from this team that we're going to see has me so excited. I think Dylan Harper is going to be a 15-point scorer next year. I think Dylan Harper is going to show even more of a leap than we could have ever expected because of his playoff performance last season. I think in the finals as well, Dylan Harper, when he was on the court, was such a net positive on the court versus a De'Aaron Fox. He doesn't need the ball in his hand. He doesn't need it. He can play well off ball. He can play well on ball. I'm being told by somebody in the TikTok that that's a bad take, that they still need a PG. Dylan Harper is their future. De'Aaron Fox is not their future. So I don't think it's a bad take to start what they plan on doing next season. I really don't think it's a bad take. Like I said, they won't be as good if they get rid of De'Aaron Fox. Not immediately, but down the line, if that's going to be your 1-2 punch, this kid was dropping 25 points, 21 points, 16 points, 15 points, 13 points in the NBA Finals. In the NBA Finals. The amount of confidence I have in this kid to not just be one of the best point guards in the NBA. The amount of confidence I have in him to be one of the best players in the NBA is through the roof. I love Dylan Harper. Call me a fan for the rest of his NBA career. I am such a big Dylan Harper fan. He is so good at basketball, and I can't wait to watch him and Wemby next season. I can't wait. Let's go ahead and move on to my next guy. Now, my next guy is a big, as you guys all know, plays for the Washington Wizards. His name is Alex Sarr. Now, I don't think Alex Sarr is going to have a statistical leap like everybody else that I'm talking about this year. What I believe that he's going to have going into his third season, I think he's going to have a setup man for the first time in his career. I think Alex Sarr is going to be feeding off of Trae Young. I think regardless of if Anthony Davis is there at the start of the season or Anthony Davis is even there by the trade deadline next season, I think Alex Sarr is going to prove to everybody why we've all had so much confidence in him to become that big all-star, like one of the best bigs in the East. Alex Sarr last year averaged just under 16.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he averaged 2 blocks a game, y'all. Alex Sarr is already a prolific paint protector. Alex Sarr just needs somebody to facilitate. And you have Trae Young now, who's been a multiple time leading the league in assists per season. I think Trae Young is going to help Alex Sarr more than a lot of people believe. I think Alex Sarr is not, I don't think his stats are going to leap all that much though. What I believe is going to leap is his efficiency. There's no way Alex Sarr is not going to be shooting at least 55% from the field. That's a 7% jump from last season. He averaged for a center, which is not good, 48% from the field. That's not good for a 7-foot center, but he always had to create his own shot. He didn't have a facilitator. All due respect to Trey Johnson and Bub Carrington. Nobody was setting up Alex Sarr. Alex Sarr was setting up Alex Sarr last year. So for shooting 48%, be setting up yourself in your second year, that's not bad. I think genuinely Alex Sarr could average a 20-10 next season. I think he could be an all-star big down the line. I think he can be an all-star big next year with how Trae Young is going to make him look. Trae Young is probably going to be averaging 10 to 12 assists per game. And most of that is going to be going to Alex Sarr down low. He showed that he's confident in shooting the three. He showed that he's confident in creating his own shot from the paint and from the post. Now he's got a setup man in Trae Young. I'm very excited to watch Alex Sarr play basketball. And most of it is because I know Trae Young is going to make this kid ooze confidence. I really do believe that. I really, really, really believe that Alex Sarr is going to have a big leap next year. Maybe not statistical, but I think he's going to have a big leap. Now, my only thing is Anthony Davis will either help or he will hinder. I don't think there's an in between. I think they're going to be a very fun team to watch. I don't know if Anthony Davis is going to be there at the start of the season. I don't know if Anthony Davis is going to be there by the end of the season. But what I do know is having Trae Young next to Alex Sarr, and then you also got DeBanza in there. I'm very excited to watch this team. They're going to be night and day different from last season. Night and day. I'm not going to put too much stock into Trae Young and his 5 games that he played for the Wizards last year. They were 0-5 in the 5 games that he did play. What I am going to put in stock is the duo between Trae Young, the trio, the quad, the 4 of them between Trae Young, DeBanza, Sarr, and AD. Like I said, I don't think Alex Sarr is going to be a 20-10 guy next season, but I could see that in his future. I'm very excited to watch that team roll. My next guy, I'm going to head back out west. I don't have a whole lot to say about him because they're pretty easy takes, but Ace Bailey didn't show me much last year. I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree with me, right? Ace Bailey, what he was showing me last season was shot chucker tendencies. I love Ace Bailey. I think he's got crazy high potential. He averaged under 14 points, 4.5 rebounds, under 2 assists, shot 44% from the field, and 34% from 3. What he did show me is that this kid does not lack confidence. And that's what I like to see in a rookie. Watching Ace Bailey last year, it was interesting because I know a lot of you guys probably didn't watch him. So I'll tell you what I saw. Freak athlete, stupid confidence, and a horrible shot taker. The shots that Ace Bailey would take last year, I'm talking fadeaways from the corner. I'm talking post fades from midi. I'm talking heavily contested floaters. His shot selection was horrible. And as a rookie, I'm not upset about it. I'm not upset about it at all. Do I think he's a bust? Absolutely not. As a rookie, I want you to take difficult shots. As a rookie, I want you to ooze confidence because that shows me that once that confidence, like the hardest thing to achieve as an NBA player is confidence. And what he showed me last year is that he doesn't lack it. All he lacked was control. And control is, yes, it's difficult to teach, but I'm going to point you guys to a guy like Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham was a shot chucker. Cade Cunningham is a shot chucker. Cade Cunningham took bad shots. Cade Cunningham takes bad shots. The difference between a good player and a great player is their ability to complete those bad shots and make them into good shots. And I think Ace Bailey showed me a lot last year that he might not be a number 1 on a team, but I think he could be a number 2, number 3 scorer on a basketball team. And next year with Peterson, with Lauri Markkanen, with a healthy Jazz team, with Bryce Sensabaugh and all of their young guys, I think Ace Bailey can show me something next year. All I'm looking for is an improvement in his efficiency. That's all. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking at his points per game to jump up, but that will with efficiency. All I'm looking for is for those numbers to go up a little bit. He was a major ball stopper. If the ball reached Ace Bailey, the possession would end with Ace Bailey. And I'm not mad at that as a rookie. Like I said, I love to see confidence in a rook. I expect his 3-point percentage to go up from 34%, and I expect his field goal percentage to get really close to that 50% mark. I'm a big fan of Ace Bailey. I think he's going to improve, and I hope we can find some Jazz fans because I don't think we have a single Jazz fan on our Discord server. If you guys want to join the Discord server, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. Now, my next guy, we're going to head back east. He's a guy who I'm such a big fan of. And his biggest issue wasn't even about him. It was about his head coach, and that's Matas Buzelis of the Chicago Bulls. Matas Buzelis, I'm probably like one of his biggest fans as far as basketball players go in the NBA right now, especially young players. He's 21. He's turning 22 in October. I am a huge fan of Matas Buzelis. I think his biggest issue was Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan, if you guys watched any Bulls games, which I know it was the Bulls, a lot of you guys didn't watch, but I watched. Every time Matas Buzelis would take one iffy shot or make one iffy pass, he'd get yanked. He would get yanked every time. He had the shortest leash imaginable under Billy Donovan. And as you all know, Billy Donovan hates young guys. If Matas would make one mistake, or he would miss one coverage, or he'd miss the help defender, he would get taken out and probably sat for the rest of the half. That was how the Matas Buzelis experiment has gone for the last 2 years. Matas still averaged just over 16 points, almost 6 rebounds, just over 2 assists. He averaged a block and a half. Really good blocking small forward. And his efficiency also jumped from 46% and 35% from 3. His biggest issue was 3-point shooting, and that's improved. The only issue is Billy Donovan didn't like when he took threes. If he took a bad 3, he'd get yanked. I think Matas is going to have a big jump next year. I think him and Caleb Wilson are going to be very, very fun to watch. I don't think Matas is going to jump up to be an all-star, obviously, next year. But I do think that the duo between Caleb Wilson and Matas Buzelis, and even throw in the Giddler, I really think that these 3 guys on this team can make fun basketball. I think they're going to be running. I think they're going to be gunning. I think they're going to be trying to score in transition almost every single play. Here's one thing I'll say about the Chicago Bulls. They're not going to be a good basketball team. In fact, they're going to be a bottom 5 team in the NBA next year. But they're going to be a big fun watch. If you have NBA League Pass, I'm going to be tuned into the Bulls a lot. The Bulls are like, I think, the most fun bad team in the NBA next year. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because the Bulls from the beginning of last year versus the Bulls at the beginning of this year, I can finally look at you Bulls fans and tell you got an exciting season to watch. Because I know last season, I was telling y'all, I was not excited to watch it. Then they started 5-0 and they got you guys excited. And then, of course, they had the worst stretch in recent history after that 5-0 start. I'm really excited to watch the Bulls. I'm really excited to watch Matas rise. And I know there's a couple other guys. So I do want to mention a couple honorable mentions that I know probably some of you guys want me to talk about. Demon for the Brooklyn Nets. I think he's going to have a better year. I don't think he's going to break out, but I think he's going to have a better year. Kobe Saunders for the Clippers. I think he's going to have a better year. I don't think he's going to have a huge breakout, but again, I think he's going to have a better year. And by the way, Kada, I don't know if you're telling me in the chat that the Bulls are a play-in team. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In the East, absolutely not. The Bulls are not a play-in team. They are not even a play-in hopeful team. They're going to be a bottom 5 team in the NBA, and that's okay. That's more than okay. They're going to be fun to watch. That's what the Bulls are going to be. They're going to be fun to watch. Very fun to watch. They're going to be fast. They're going to be young. They're going to be exciting. And they're going to be trying to poster every single big in the paint. But they're absolutely not going to get anywhere near a play-in team. Absolutely not. So I had a couple guys on my breakout list, right? Young guys. I don't want to include guys that are going into their 5th or 6th year. This is mostly 1st, 2nd, and 3rd years. You don't really want to talk about a guy going into his 5th or 6th year. Like I see K-Dot spamming Paulo in the chat. I'm sorry. Paulo is a great player. He's a great player. He's a borderline star. No, he is a star. Paulo Banchero is a star. So that's, if you're already a star, you're not going to break out. You could break out to be a superstar. He could, especially with how much weight he's lost. I believe in Paulo Banchero a lot. Consider me a huge Paulo fan after watching him in the playoffs this year. But breakout stars are guys that are not stars, and they're going to break out to become stars, like the guys I've mentioned already. So I gave you guys my list. I'm going to give you guys also, I already gave you guys my honorable mentions. Now I'm going to give you guys my final player, who I think is going to break out into something special next year. You guys might not watch him. You guys might not know much about him, but I do. And one member of my chat also does. It's Jeremiah Fears of the New Orleans Pelicans. Say what you will about the New Orleans Pelicans, and I've said a lot about the New Orleans Pelicans. I believe Jeremiah Fears, after having his rookie year, after being rushed all year, after being throttled into the primary ball handler all year, waiting for DJM to get back. I believe it was a hard transition in the NBA. I believe it was a very difficult stretch to just join a sub-mediocre team and to just somehow become that primary ball handler, primary playmaker, and honestly, at most times, primary scorer. If Jeremiah Fears wasn't setting people up, if he was off ball, he really wasn't doing anything. But when he had the ball, he showed me so many potential things that he could be. His speed, his aggression, his strength for his size. And another thing, his confidence. I think he lacked it. I think you saw as the year progressed, his confidence rise and rise and rise. Just look at his last game of the year. He played 41 minutes in his last game in Minnesota. He scored 36 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, only 2 turnovers. And here's the biggest thing. He made 12 out of 14 free throws. He missed all 5 of his three-point attempts, and he shot 12 for 28 from the field. Jeremiah Fears does not ooze confidence. And last year, as he played, it started coming in. And TikTok is right. He doesn't even have a picture on StatMuse. He doesn't. Next year, he'll have a picture. I think next season his 3-point percentage will rise. I think his field goal percentage will rise. And I think he's really going to benefit having DeJounte Murray right next to him. I think his scoring is going to jump. I think his assists is going to jump. And there's something that you can't really teach as a young guy, and that's that dog energy. And Jeremiah Fears, in my opinion, is a dog. I think Jeremiah Fears is going to have a breakout year. I think he's going to take that big second-year leap. Do I think he's going to be a star? No. Not yet. But I think he's going to be infusing some of this false confidence into some Pelicans fans into thinking that this is their year. We all know it's not. But I think Jeremiah Fears, if there's one thing to be excited about for Pelicans fans, it's him. Obviously, they got Yves Missi. I was going to pick Yves in here, but I ultimately picked Jeremiah Fears because of how much I love this kid. I think he's a fun player. I think all he needs is confidence. Confidence in himself and the coach's confidence as well. Because I'm not sure they quite knew how to use him. And ladies and gentlemen, that's probably going to be it for all of my breakout players. Now, if you think I forgot something, be sure to leave it in the comments. Be sure to leave it in the live chat. I think I got my honorable mentions in. I got all my players. Just a quick rundown. Cooper Flagg, Ausar Thompson, Dylan Harper, Alex Sarr, Ace Bailey, Matas Buzelis. I got my honorable mentions. And of course, Jeremiah Fears. Now, Derek Queen, of course, he's also one of the great bright spots the Pelicans do have. He's got to improve his defense, and that's something that I don't really think. His shooting and his defense needs to improve. I just think I prefer Jeremiah Fears to be my breakout guy for next year. I do. I think he's going to have a great second year. CMB is also a great option. I think CMB is going to have a leap as well. Of course, if they have Kawhi Leonard, I think his ball touches are going to drop. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this NBA season. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We will be back Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, probably. And if you guys, did enjoy, be sure to share this show with your friend, share it with your family, friends, cousins, ex-dogs, neighbors, whatever. And podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. Twitch chat, stick around. TikTok, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to follow, drop a like, and come through to the Twitch stream. The link is in the bio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, y'all, thank you for watching / listening. And I'll catch you guys probably Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Love y'all and have a blessed rest of your